This is Videogamelover58 here, and welcome to my another review for Sega Game Gear month. And we are looking at Dino Magic World, also known as Ronald in the Magic World. So, this game. Does anyone remember McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure for the Sega Genesis? It was a McDonald's game that was actually developed by Treasure, who did Gunstar Heroes and Dynamite Headdy. It was actually one of their first games they ever did, but they released Gunstar Heroes first. Well, to my surprise, and I think a lot of people probably don't know about this, there was actually a Game Gear McDonald's game featuring Ronald McDonald. But the weird thing is that this was not made by Treasure. In fact, this was made by Sega themselves, Sims to be exact. This came out in March of 1994, March 4th, to be exact. And it was only released in Japan. However, though, if you were to put this game in the Western Game Gear, it actually self-translated. That's why it went from English. So I guess it was also going to be in Europe as well. So if you're thinking that this is going to be a Game Gear version of McDonald's Treasure Land Adventure, boy, you're in for a surprise. It is too when I first played this game for myself. So one thing's for sure, the format is still the same. There's only 4 stages, just like the Genesis game, but the levels are way different, and they're broken down to 3 different arcs. So, and then also you have a different objective, where in the Genesis version it was just, go from point A to point B. In this game, you need to find a key, and if you don't find the key, you cannot progress the end of the level. So you have to go through the level to get keys. Another thing to know is that your magic attack is slightly downgraded what it was in the Genesis game. I'm not sure why. And you also can use your umbrella to fly. So they decided to change it up dramatically rather than just simply, trying to bring the Genesis game into the Game Gear, because we all know when they normally do that, they make cuts. Over here is a bonus game. This is where you get like a couple of extra lives and health upgrades. You're gonna definitely need this, because I want to tell you this right now, this game is surprisingly difficult. Way more difficult than the Genesis game. I don't know what happened, but one thing I will say is the platforming can be very vicious sometimes. You're going to have to make some pretty iffy jumps if you want to progress through the game. So, especially, in the 3rd section, the 1st stage, I actually died a couple of times on that level. So this game is definitely a lot more difficult than the Genesis game. The Genesis game had its moments of being a tad difficult, but not like this. I'm not saying like it's super hard to beat, but it's definitely more tougher than the Genesis game. The only thing that's really the same from the Genesis game and this one is the music. Most of the music is from the Genesis version. However, there are a few different tracks that aren't in the Genesis game. So keep an eye on that. This is the volcano level I was talking about. This level was actually pretty damn challenging, and a lot of it was because of the start. I didn't know you could just jump down. But yeah, this game's a little bit tricky, but it plays very nice. The controls are very spot on. The graphics in this game are very well done, very colorful, just like how they were in the Genesis game. The music, although it's from the Genesis game, sounds really good. This is actually one of the exclusive songs I was talking about. And every stage has one of these, that you climb a tower to confront the boss. The bosses are actually different than what they were on the Genesis game. And this is the one aspect I will say that I think it's way easier than the Genesis version. The bosses are an absolute joke in this game. Like this boss right here, watch how I take him down even with just 1 health. Pretty hysterical, actually. Now, I will say this, because this is only released in Japan, you're most likely not going to be able to get a physical copy. Yes, you can get it, but you're going to end up paying like $40 to $50 to get a physical copy. So just get it on an emulator, or do like me, play on my PSP Go. That's how I was able to play this game on the go is on the PSP Go. I've been doing that a lot with my gaming. But yeah, McDonald's, I was about to say McDonald's Struggle and Adventure. Ronald in the Magic World is actually a pretty decent game on the Game Gear. Just don't come into it as thinking it's exactly just like the Genesis game. It's actually nothing like that. It has a similar premise, but the levels, everything is much different than the Genesis game. But yeah, that's pretty much the end of this review. It's a pretty decent, fun little platformer. Just be warned that this game can be a little bit difficult sometimes. So if you have a Game Gear or you have an emulator, check this one out. I think it's worth your time. But yeah, this is Videogamelover58, and I'll see you guys on my next review. Peace.